So the ultimate question when you're scaling a roofing business, or any business for that matter, is how do you keep costs down as you grow? And more specifically, how do you keep advertising costs down as you scale? What we see time and time again is that roofers come in, either they're running their own ads with the in-house marketing team, or they have an agency, or even in some cases 3 or 4 agencies running their ads, and they will throw hundreds of dollars a day at their marketing, and it'll bring them a consistent number of appointments, right? But the instant they try to push past that point, they try to put $300, $400, $500 a day into their advertising, well, suddenly there's a diminishing return. Either their cost per appointment climbs, or your appointment volume itself just drops off a cliff, or maybe even just your lead quality starts to drop off a cliff, right? Maybe it's a combination of all 3 of those things. Here at RoofIgnite, we're able to actually solve for all of those things simultaneously and keep your costs consistent as you scale to hundreds, if not thousands of dollars a day on your advertising, like we do for some clients. The first thing, and it's a combination really of 3 things that I'm going to go over in this video that can help to really keep your costs down. So there's creative volume and creative diversity. There is pixel conditioning and the qualification layer. And lastly, there is actually just how you set up your marketing system in general and how your brand presence is portrayed. So in that first point of creative volume and diversity, what that actually means is, 1, how many ads are you able to produce and run at any given time, but also how unique are those ads? Are they all saying the same thing, or are they all talking about different reasons for buying, right? Are they showcasing your company as the best option? Are they positioning you as the premier roofing business in your area? Or are they simply sharing generic roofing, non-specific $59.95 for a roof, right? Obviously for our clients, we share as much as we possibly can. We attack all the diverse angles of why somebody might want or need a roof replaced. And obviously we will go after the low-hanging fruit. My apologies, I almost got hit by a car there. We will also go after the low-hanging fruit, of course, of you just need your roof replaced right now. Let's get it done, right? But there's also the creative volume aspect at play. And so one of the big things that spikes costs is when agencies or you and your in-house team are not able to keep up with the demands of the market. You're not able to consistently refresh your creatives or consistently provide new ads consistently, again, at that consistent level of quality in an efficient manner of time. You'll see pretty constantly that your ads will fatigue, where you had some winter ads that brought in tons of appointments at low cost, right? And after a week, their cost starts to rise. The appointment volume starts to diminish, right? And you think to yourself, well, in the old days, I was able to just scale this ad up to tens, 50s, even $100,000 in some cases I've seen for ads, individual ads that are able to just scale perpetually, right? But that's not necessarily the case anymore. We see ads die out much quicker because they need to be replaced much more often because the algorithm has changed. So, of course, here at RoofIgnite, we have developed many systems to be able to handle that for you and produce creatives at scale to be able to keep your costs down and supplement alongside that. But it also does require, in many cases, that you, as the business owner, will either get out there and film some ads, film some content, or you'll send out your team to go out to the job site, get some testimonials, or even just share some helpful content with your audience that you can then distribute. The second thing that I talked about, of course, was the qualification layer. And what the qualification layer means, it's quite simple, really. I mean, it's the difference between a lead and a qualified appointment, right? A lead is just somebody who filled out your form. They saw your ad, they clicked the link, they filled out their information, and then you go ahead and you call them, right? Versus a qualified appointment is somebody who saw that ad, they filled out their information, and then you or our team, in our case, when you sign up with us, our team calls them, Ask them questions about, what's the current condition of your roof? Do you have any major problems? Do you have leaks? Do you have faulty shingles? Things like this, just questions to see how big is the problem, how urgently do they need their roof replaced, and are they able to actually spend what is required to get their roof replaced, right? And then if all those conditions are met, they'll book the appointment, right? And then we will send that information back to Facebook saying, this person who came from this ad is a strong contender for somebody who might purchase. And then if they ultimately do buy the roof, we will send that signal to Facebook as well. Similarly, we will actively disqualify people who are either out of the service area, they can't afford it, they're tire kickers, price shoppers, etc. We will make sure to share as much of that information with the ad platform as possible so that it can get smarter over time, deliver your ads to the right person at the right time, at the right cost, consistently. And in some cases, this will actually help you to lower your costs as you scale. Not just keep them low, but actually decrease the costs. We have seen this across a variety of accounts, and we've certainly seen this on our side. Now, the third part of this that keeps your costs down as you scale is your brand presence, how you actually set up your marketing strategy. This is a wide combination of factors, of course, but on the advertising side, we are able to strategically distribute content to your audience that informs their sales process, that speeds up their sales process, that actively educates the homeowner, tells them what they should know, plants ideas in their minds for what a new roof might cost, what some common problems are that you might not think about of when a roof starts to need replacement, what it looks like when a roof needs replacement, how you can tell if a roofer that comes out and surveys and gives you an estimate, how you can tell if that's legitimate or not. Answers all the standard questions that somebody might be having when they're considering a roof replacement, and also positions you as the authority. Not only because you're the one educating them, but also because you're consistently getting in front of them so often. And so this is part of the strategic part in the distribution, is this content costs very little to distribute. It also costs very little to produce, of course, because all it costs is your time. But to distribute, you can see up to 1/10, up to 1/10, meaning 1/10 would be expensive. 1/10 the cost of your direct response. In some cases, it can even be 100th of the cost of distributing your direct response advertising. So not to get too in the weeds with the technical terms, but if you distribute this content, right, where you're addressing objections, you're walking them through what the process looks like, you're showing pictures of your trucks and your crews, and you're sharing testimonials of happy clients who've had their roof replaced in your area for similar homes as theirs, right? Similar roof types, similar materials. You show why your materials are superior. As many videos as you can possibly make, as many videos as you can possibly distribute, and images as well. We send these out, we ensure, and this is something that you will see if you get in our web of our advertising. If you start to see even one ad from us and you watch more than 3 seconds, well, you're officially in our web, right? And you will not be able to escape us. This is something I hear and I read constantly from people who are coming through our sales processes. They cannot escape our ads. And what we often see is the people who are the most annoyed by constantly having to see our ads are the people who are actually more likely to sign up with us, simply because they can't get away from us. Obviously, there's more to it than that. If you're still watching this video, you're somebody who's actually actively engaged in understanding and learning more about what it takes to scale, right? And it's the same effect that you will have on the homeowner. When they actively watch up to 15 seconds of one of these content pieces that's educating about you, your brand, your materials, etc., they are much likely to have higher intent once they get hit with one of those direct response ads talking about, we'll come out to give you an estimate on your roof. And they are much more likely to actually buy. And I can justify this with our metrics. The costs I've seen across a wide variety of accounts, not just RoofIgnite, not just client accounts. This is an extremely effective way to increase your brand presence by cost effectively distributing content to a wider audience who may not be in the market now, but could be in the market in a few months or a few weeks. But you don't have to waste your money effectively on targeting them with direct response, which is directly asking for a sale essentially, and expects them to be ready today. Now, naturally, for those who are ready today, this informs their sales process much greater, because think about this, right? There's two situations. One is you see a $5,995 for a roof ad, and you click and you fill out your information and you get a call and you get an appointment set, right? And then a couple days goes by, you forget all about it, and then a rep shows up at your house and says, hey, we had this appointment to talk about your roof. And you say, okay, yeah, sure, come on, we can sit down, we can talk about it. And then they tell you, oh, it's not $59.95 for the roof, it's actually $14,000, right? You're probably not very likely to buy the roof on the spot. You're gonna have a whole lot of objections, right? I'm saying you, but obviously this is the homeowner, right? The homeowner that you're dealing with. And these are the sorts of objections you probably deal with if you hire an agency that puts out $59.95 for roof ads, right? You've probably seen this problem quite commonly. However, the other side of that is if they see an ad that says, we'll come out, we'll inspect your roof, we'll give you the best education possible, you'll understand what it really takes. Here's what it's likely to cost. Obviously, we can't give you an exact price until we come out and we survey your home, but here's what it's likely gonna cost. Here's everything you need to know. Here are some education materials to help you make a better decision about what types of materials you might want for your roof, what's best for the type of weather you're in, what similar homes in your area might be using, et cetera, right? You also have the opportunity, of course, to showcase your warranty, right? These types of things. Then they fill out their information. Somebody calls them, they have a conversation about, okay, well, do you actively need a roof replaced? Do you have a leak? Do you have rot? Do you have bent nails everywhere? Things like this. Do you have shingles falling off? Etc. Do you have problems? Do you have an urgent problem that you need your roof replaced, right? Help them along in the sales process, set an appointment if they meet the requirements, and then in the 3 or 4 days leading up to the appointment, they get hit with 20 more education-based ads addressing their objections, telling them why the service is superior, not just telling, but showcasing testimonials of homeowners in that same service area, etc., texting you, reminding you about the appointment, delivering valuable materials to help you make the decision. And then by the time the rep actually shows up at the appointment, or by the time the appointment comes around, right, that customer is so much more likely to simply either cancel the appointment because, oh man, actually, after watching all that stuff, I don't know that I'm ready. I'm gonna actually cancel the appointment. Or what happens much more often is they show up, the rep shows up, right? And the deal closes. This is a great way to increase your close rate as well, of course, because you're educating them the whole way. You're essentially holding their hand through the process without actually having to spend all that time on the phone educating them or spending that time sitting at their kitchen table talking them through it. Of course, you're still gonna have to address some objections. They naturally come up no matter what. But just think about the effect that much content could have on a homeowner in informing their decision. Think about how much effect that's had on you as you're watching this video to consider moving forward with us at RoofIgnite, right? I'm not telling you that you have to, but by the end of this video and by the end of so many more of the YouTube videos on our channel, you can see that we express a level of expertise, that we are capable of delivering the service in an effective, efficient manner, and we stand by our results. We stand by our guarantees. We stand by what we do. We have integrity in what we do. We value our relationships with our clients. We take this extremely seriously. You're probably much more likely now to go through, fill out your information, get into our web of ads, be unable to resist it, speak with our team, and you'll have a very strong likelihood of closing if you have all the information that you need. Versus if we didn't put anything in front of you and we just said, look, we'll get you $75 per qualified appointment, which is not even remotely able to be delivered at scale. In some cases, sure, but we cannot guarantee that. Nobody can, is the point. When you see that, $75 per qualified appointment, roofers, we'll get you unlimited appointments and you just pay per qualified appointment and you're gonna pay us like $50 each. How can you justify that? How can you justify, sure, you'll show up to the call, but you'll be full of questions and you're more than likely not gonna see a lot more content from that advertiser, right? And so it's the exact same thing on the B2C side when you are selling roofs to the general public. You know, the homeowner population is not exactly the general public, obviously, because they have the money to be able to replace a roof, but it's the same concept. The same concept applies. The person who's most likely to get the sale is the person who helps them through the sales process the most, and of course delivers the best value. Not just the best price, but the best value. You know this. So when you do these three things, you have your creative volume, you have your creative diversity, you have your qualification layer, you're feeding the signals back to the ad platform, and you have your content ecosystem consistently informing, keeping people educated, pushing the sales process forward. When you have those three things in place, you have a much higher probability of keeping your costs down as you scale your roofing business. And that's what we help over 100 clients here at RoofIgnite do consistently, predictably. So you don't have to be in the weeds and you don't have to be jumping from agency to agency. You don't have to be thinking about, are my costs too high? Could I get grasses greener elsewhere? You don't have to be thinking about those things because we're able to consistently deliver and we stand by that. And so if you're interested in speaking to our team about how we can execute on some of these strategies for you and your roofing business, there's going to be a link in the description of this video. Click that link, fill out a form, and we will see if we're a good fit to work together. Until then, I wish you the best and happy scaling. Talk soon.